Okay, welcome everybody to our live webinar today. My name is Patrick Phillips. I thought I would just start out here by starting out with our slides. Let me put one up here that kind of shows you what the topic is for today. And I think that's it. Let's see if that shares that. Today, as you can see, we're talking about why is medical billing a good business for today's market. Specifically, we're going to be interviewing a doctor with us today who is a wonderful expert and somebody that we can really rely on when we talk about this topic, because she's been there, she's done that, she's had the white coat and has now started helping doctors to thrive in their own private practices. Got a lot to cover. By the way, our company's been in business for 28 years. I like to point that out because if you make it 3 years in business nowadays, you're doing good, aren't you? Let's see, James is in Oklahoma, Chinwe is in New Jersey, and Kennedy, hey, Kennedy here from Virginia. Okay, Justin is from South America. Well, welcome, Justin. Hey, we got an international crowd today. Okay, so now that you know where to type in the questions, let's move on and talk a little bit about who we are as a company. You know, we've been doing this for 28 years, and what we do basically is we teach and support people who want to do medical billing for doctors. Now, this is an easy business, basically. That just means to learn it takes a little bit of instruction from us. We have an online course that we take you through, 10 modules of about 90 minutes each. And then when you're finished, you get certified as a medical revenue manager, and you can use our cloud-based system, which can be used from any device that's connected to the internet anywhere in the world. And we mean that. It can be Apple computers, Windows computers, it doesn't matter. The computer is irrelevant because nothing resides on your computer. Nothing. No computer software is downloaded at all to any device. It's all just through your browser. Basically, you just log in and you can start doing your billing through our system. It's like doing billing, I should say banking, you know, online if you have a banking situation. We also have other services that you can offer to doctors that helps them with their revenue. That's why we call you a revenue manager, because you're handling everything from every aspect of their business. You can do dental billing through our system as well. It's a cloud-based system as well. And of course, we have virtual care, which is a great new service for doctors who want to just make lots and lots of money, just automatically seeing their patients basically telephonically, you know, through telemedicine. Some of our partners that we've partnered with across the United States are shown here on this screen. And folks, you will be partners with these companies as well. So take a screenshot of that if you want to, and go out there and research some of those companies, and you'll see that they're behind all of these services that we offer. Once you graduate, you actually get a certificate with your name there that says Certified Medical Revenue Manager. And that is issued by an organization called MERMA, the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. Our guest today is Dr. Vicki Ratner. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her as we go along here. She's a member of the clinical faculty at the University of Washington School of Medicine, and she's actually taught other doctors how to be better doctors. Now, that is an expert doctor for that situation. She's also currently a fellow of the prestigious American College of Surgeons and is the author of a number of books, some of them shown here. Her articles appear regularly in medical publications, and she's a nationally recognized speaker and author, and she's literally written the book on connecting with and marketing to doctors. She's been featured, as I said, on many national TV and radio networks and in publications like CNN, USA Today, NPR, USA Today, and many, many more. She regularly contributes to medical journals out there on the internet, like Physician Money Digest and the Journal of Medical Practice Management, and she is the co-founder of that Medical Revenue Management Association of America, as I mentioned earlier, and she's a member of its board of advisors. So let's see if we can get her on here live today. Dr. Vicki, you still with us behind the scenes there?
I am. Hey, Patrick. Hello, everyone.
Hello from Minnesota, right?
Yeah, you betcha.
That's not snow I see out that window, is it?
Not yet. We did have snow once, but it melted. No, that's just plain old sun.
It just comes and goes, huh? Well, I'm jealous. Of course, we have about 80-degree weather here in Texas today, so you'll be jealous of us here shortly.
Yes, I already am.
You know, when we first met, gosh, I don't know how many years ago, 7, 8, 9, I lose track. But when we first met, you said something to me that just stuck out that I'd like to throw up on the screen here, because it to me, it's just an ideal way for us to start out talking about this topic today. And it's this quote that you gave us: the physician's pain, you said, is your opportunity. Tell us what that means.
Well, think about, what would happen if you had a toothache? If it was a bad toothache, your world would contract to that toothache. That's all you're thinking about. Well, pain is pain is pain. And when you experience financial pain, your world contracts. There are lots of doctors in pain. There are lots of doctors who had the best 2 years ever. But every time you've got somebody in pain, you have a chance to build a relationship and help them. There's no shortage of financial pain, especially during COVID. Like, you might have had a mother or a grandmother who had their hip replacement deferred until the COVID pandemic simmered down. Well, that orthopedic surgeon who was scheduled to do that case isn't getting paid if they're in private practice. So
Yeah.
a lot of very, very high earning doctors saw a reduction of revenue by 80, 90% in 2020 and 2021. They're recovering, but they've got to look at the way they manage money better. And they don't get paid until they get paid from the insurance company. They get a little from patients, but that's not what they count on. This relationship with the insurance company pays their mortgage, it pays for their kids' college education. They need it. And there are problems in the money supply chain, if you will. I know from my own experience they are. So you can be a person who really helps them. You've heard a lot about burnout. You might be feeling burned out yourself. Well, every year doctors are surveyed. In 2020, 42% of doctors said that they had been burned out this past year. In 2021, that number went up to 47%. Almost half of doctors were burned out last year. When these same doctors were asked, what do you need to turn this around? They said, a more stable financial picture. Actually, they didn't say that way. What they think is that they've got to see more patients or invest more hours. But the second thing that they need is better work-life balance. You can show them the way out of this chicken and egg problem. Because if they only get paid for what they do, they can transform their practice and their lives.
Yeah, in fact, you wrote this book here recently, The Myth of the Rich Doctor. Tell us why you wrote that.
Well, I was actually on vacation, and I create something every week. And I met somebody at the hotel who said, oh, those rich doctors, they've got everything. We shouldn't feel sorry. So I had a little blog post, The Myth of the Rich Doctor. And it got about 100 times more views than even my most popular post. So I thought, there is something there. So I expanded it into a book. I've been all over the United States talking about the content of this book. And when doctors see it, it's sort of like, yeah, somebody's telling the truth here. So Patrick, how about if we give everyone a digital copy of this book? Because if you read it, what you'll do is you'll take away a deeper understanding about doctors and their relationship with money. And as a business person, I promise you, you know more about money management than most physicians do.
Oh, well, that's a wonderful gift, Vicki. Thank you. I think I have that digital copy you sent to me. Folks, get back with the person who invited you to this webinar. Connect with them some way, even by email or text or whatever, and just say, I'd like The Myth of the Rich Doctor, and we'll get a copy of that to each one of you. Thank you, Dr. Vicki, for that. This quote that's from this book says, physicians in private practice walk away from an average of 30% of their incomes when they do not follow up on the rejected insurance claims. That's a big problem with doctors if they're doing the billing inside their own office. They don't have time to follow up, do they?
That's right. And Patrick, I don't know if you want us to be seeing your slides.
Oh, oh yeah, you're not seeing that,
Yeah,
huh?
so just a
Thank
different
you
screen.
for.
Okay, so I will tell you that I was in private practice myself. I trained as a general surgeon, and we're still not seeing the slide. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
So I was in private practice, and you know, in my original situation, like right out of residency, I joined a single practitioner, and he had one person who did everything, including the billing. And there, something happened. I'm happy to share more of the story a little later. And she quit. I had an opportunity to sort of break out on my own and join a multidisciplinary breast team. I took advantage of that. And I decided that my income was too important to be trusted to one person. So the best decision I ever made, even at that early stage, was outsourcing my billing, right? So previously, when I was with this other guy, my accountant, took a look at my rejected claims. He said, "No problem. You need a tax write-off. Don't worry about collecting on that. You'll get your money back from the government." And while that is true, I think that there are probably more prudent ways of managing practice. And in fact, when I outsourced my billing, my revenue jumped about 20%, not because I was seeing that many more patients, but because I was collecting more of what I had. Because remember, after your overhead is paid, all of that additional cash flow goes right into the doctor's pocket. It really means a lot, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I can imagine if I were a doctor, I'd rather have that, let's say you have $20,000, $30,000 to write off at the end of the year. I'd rather have that in my bank account, so.
Yeah, except for me, that was 20, 30,000 a month,
Oh
right?
my goodness. Wow. Now, what have you done since you actually retired from being in private practice? What have you been doing? Like you did something here just recently, didn't you? Speaking?
Oh, yes, yes. You might have seen Ed Slott on TV. He's the IRA guy.
Yeah.
So I just delivered a keynote for him in Las Vegas, just talking to people about doctors and the way they manage money. So this is kind of my thing, doctors and money. How do they manage it? What forces shape their relationship with it? So my primary business is engaging doctors, where I help people like you build business relationships with doctors. I've got another business, Thriving Doctors, where I help doctors thrive. And my secret sauce is building a bridge between the world of business and the world of medicine. So the two businesses, or the bridges, going both ways.
I like that. Building a bridge between the world of medicine and the world of business. Yeah, because doctors are not known to be the best business owners and managers in the world, are they?
That is absolutely true. And Patrick, I always talk about my favorite Shark Tank story. It just re-aired recently. A doctor went into the Shark Tank to get funding for his company Syndaver. He sold synthetic cadavers. It's a $1 billion industry. The doctor had millions of dollars in sales. All the sharks were engaged, and I thought, this guy is going to get a 5-shark deal. But then the questions started. Well, tell us about your revenue. Tell us about your profitability. And there on national TV, this doctor said, well, I suppose I could make lots of money if I wanted to, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to make a difference.
I'll bet
And
that
guess
didn't go over
how
too
many-
good.
Yeah, he got 0 deals. He got a deal with Robert Hirschbeck that fell apart in a couple of weeks. So the value of the investment was there, but he just didn't know how to talk to push the buy button of the sharks. And if you think about another reality show, let's call it Surgeon's Lounge, you want to go in and help a doctor with money. A lot of people make the same mistake. that the doctor made when he entered the Shark Tank. It's really not understanding what's important to the doctor. The doctor wants to make a difference in the lives of their families, in the lives of community, and leaving a legacy. And if you can help them make a bigger impact, that's important. We all know that we shouldn't text when we drive. When doctors are worried about money, that's distracted doctoring. And the ABS people play an important role in just turning things around. They can transform doctors' lives by helping doctors collect what they're owed.
Yeah, it's amazing. Again, in the last few years since you've been partnering with us, you've seen that yourself. You've heard some of the success stories that we tell about our business owner licensees, we call them. And the amazing thing is that that's been happening for 28 years. I've got people who joined us over 20 years ago that are still out there building their business. Some of them have built it so well, so big, they sold the business, and I don't know what they did with the money. Bought a McDonald's probably.
Well, Patrick, the thing about doctors is a doctor's natural behavior actually helps you grow this business, because doctors want to help other doctors. If they've got something that's really helping a patient, they want other doctors to know so more patients are helped, right? If you can help transform their financial foundation, they will talk about you in the doctor's dining room and the surgeon's lounge. So every doctor client you get makes it easier to get that next doctor client, and then the next doctor client, and then the next doctor client. I've got a financial advisor, and his big marketing campaign is answering the phone. Hi, my friend said I need to talk to you. Are you taking on new clients? And that's where you can get to in medicine. In business, like when I'm building my Engaging Doctors business, I'll talk with my delighted clients and I'll say, I really do want to reach more doctors. Do you have any colleagues who might benefit from going through my training? And they said, are you kidding? You're my secret weapon. I wouldn't share you. So the mindset is completely different for doctors.
Yeah, I have a quote here that I thought I'd throw up on the screen. Let's see, can you see that one there? Yeah. Global medical billing outsourcing market. Now, folks, that's what we're talking about here, is that if you wanted to start a business with ABS, you basically go through our training and then you're certified and so forth. And then we show you how to get those doctors signed up. But the point is, it says the global medical billing outsourcing market size is expected to reach US $23.7 billion by 2027. What is that? 5 years away. So, the point is, folks, I can't think of any industry that you should get into, Dr. Vicki, other than healthcare. I mean, as far as something that's got a future and it's growing, it's going to be around a while, isn't it?
It is. And, there's a lot of economists who are using the R word, the recession. And Forbes recently published an article about 3 industries poised to do well during a recession. Healthcare is number 1. We're always going to need our doctors.
Yeah.
This is always going to be a field that grows. When we recovered from 2008, healthcare was really the first to recover. So this is a good place to be. My heart is broken for all of those industries who are closing their doors and will never reopen them.
Yeah.
It's not the case with doctors.
Right. I mean, I do see restaurants opening, but wow, I don't think I'd want to be in the travel industry, the cruise industry right now. Even theaters are still struggling to get people to come back to the theater, because now we've got TVs in our homes that are as big as a movie screen if you sit close enough to it, Here's another quote from an organization. I think I skipped one there. Here we go. The Doctor-Patient Medical Association Foundation said 2 out of 3 doctors say that they're just squeaking by or in the red financially. So that shows there really is a problem out there. Doctors are very, very concerned because, like you said, a lot of their practices slowed down considerably in the previous 2 years of the pandemic. Here's another article out there in the Medical Economics magazine that says if you operate a medical practice, you should be outsourcing. I mean, here's here's a publication for doctors that's telling the doctors you should be outsourcing your billing. Don't try to do it yourself. In other words, as if giving your key employees menial tasks isn't enough to consider outsourcing, the ever-changing landscape of the medical industry should be the deciding factor. And then here's a quote. You might recognize this one. Dr. Vicki Rachner says, this month, the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services released its proposed 2023 Medicare fee schedule. Physicians' compensation will be reduced by 4.42%. That's a cut in pay for doctors, isn't it? And that's after they had a 2% cut back in July. So anyway, the point is, folks, doctors are struggling. You can be the solution to that. That's why many of our licensees are building this business faster than we even thought that they would. Dr. Vicki, let me ask you this. You've been very generous in helping our business owners, partnering with us and thus partnering with them as a part of our network. And one of the things you did was to actually allow our business owners to put their name on the cover of some of your books. Can you explain why you did that?
Yes. Okay. Basically, the reason is it's to support your business growth. The most influential person in a doctor's life is another doctor. So Patrick and I have worked on several books, Adam to his son, Adam. And I think that the best way to begin a relationship with a doctor is to give a gift. It's a gracious thing to do. It helps you build trust. These books are well loved by doctors. And so you have a way of opening a door with a doctor. And you also have another way of attaching your name and your reputation to mine. And if you Google me, I think you'll figure out what is behind you. Giving away these books works. It is a great way to build your business.
It's ingenious. It builds such credibility when you hand a doctor a book that has your name on the cover and on the inside, like you see here, your contact information is in there. That tells them that you are a serious business owner. You're not just somebody, printing up brochures on your inkjet printer in your garage. This is serious, folks. And so we've put a lot of money, a lot of time in developing these for you. And Dr. Vicki even will write you an introduction letter to the doctors in your area on her letterhead. That's something that's unheard of, Dr. Vicki, and we thank you for that because that's been a great door opener for so many people.
Absolutely. And let me tell you why. I hired my own gatekeeper when I was in private practice, right? And I told my gatekeeper, Linda is actually her name, I told her, I don't want to see anything that somebody's trying to sell me. No pharma rep, I don't want anything. I do want to take good care of patients. So Linda walked a tightrope. She could err by sending me something, letting something through that I didn't want to see, or screening out something that I did want to see. And she would never dream of not delivering a letter that came from another doctor. And that's why I thought of it for you. Because if you wrote a letter to a doctor, you may or may not get through. But that's a letter from a doctor is going to get through.
Yeah. Doctors interned under other doctors. They look at other doctors as their mentors, their tutors. And so they are always looking to other doctors to say, is this something that's good or should I just forget about it? And to have a letter from you is just invaluable. Our licensees have proven that. By the way, here's a question that came in. Bryant, I want to answer Bryant's question. He typed in a while ago. So I can run the business from my phone? Well, Bryant, if you've got real good eyes, you can, sure. Yeah, you could, but we don't recommend it, of course. And then Jay has something here. By the way, he starts out by saying, hello, Dr. Vicki, you rock. He says, can you share 2 or 3 top major pain points that doctors still say that they're experiencing in private practice compared to when you were practicing?
Yeah. So in the burnout survey that I mentioned, and it was done by Medscape, you can go and sign up for a free Medscape account and see the whole survey yourself. But what they said was there are things that really bug them. Not making enough money, like not getting paid for what they're worth, They feel like their autonomy is being eroded. Like people are telling them what to do. I was in practice when managed care came on the scene, and it felt like there were three people in the exam room, my patient, me, and the insurance company. So they don't like being told what to do. And they don't feel respected. They don't feel respected by their colleagues, um, people at the hospital. They just a lot of doctors feel like this is just a transaction. They could be replaced by a robot. And we're in this because we want to help people. We want to build meaningful relationships. But if, let's say, a primary care doctor decided, oh, I'd like to spend a half hour with this person to really dig in and understand everyone, it's not financially tenable. So doctors want to be able to practice on their own terms. Okay, so here's what happened. So there was a big shift from doctors being in private practice. Like when I got out of residency, about 90% of doctors were in private practice. I remember I grew up in Minnesota, and I visited my aunt at the Mayo Clinic, and I was surprised that the walls weren't pink, because my relatives kept on talking about this Pinko organization, that actually employs doctors. So when managed care came on track, that number shifted to about 50-50, half employed, half in private practice. Now in most communities, it was about 80% employed versus 20% in private practice, because doctors thought, okay, I want to be my own boss. I want my autonomy, but I want security, and security is more important. Well, during the COVID pandemic, the elective cases that were deferred are the engines that drive profitability of hospitals and clinics. And so, like the Mayo Clinic in April of 2020 was projecting a $4 billion shortfall. So there were across the board pay cuts. A lot of hospitals decided to lay off doctors. They furloughed doctors. So the security that they thought that they were getting in exchange for their autonomy turned out to not be so secure. So now we're seeing a trend of employed physicians going back into private practice.
Yeah, and they kind of have to start all over from scratch by doing it, because didn't they have to turn over their patients to the hospital when they went to work for them?
Well, it depends on the contract that they sign, but a lot of them do sign a no-compete clause, which means that they have to leave the geographic area and set up their practice someplace else.
Oh my goodness. That is sad when you think about it. I mean, we depend on doctors. And by the way, I think they're going to be replaced by robots. I've watched Star Trek, so I know that that's going to happen.
But there was still a doctor there.
Yeah, yeah. Dr. McCoy, he ran his little gizmo over their body, and it told him everything he needed to know.
Right, right.
There's a report that just came out that I grabbed a screenshot of here. This is from the Medical Group Management Association. It's called Maintaining Margin in the Inflation Era. I'm sure this will get the attention of a lot of doctors, because it has some great information in here. For example, this is the trend in total medical revenue per full-time employee physician. And so if you look at it carefully, basically in a 3-year trend, the 3-year trend is this column over here, in physician-owned primary care physicians, the total medical revenue has gone down by almost $75,000 in 1 year's time. That's hard to believe that a doctor can live on that. Well, of course, some of them make $400,000 to $800,000 a year, I guess. So that's just a little dent in their income, but still, it takes away a lot from their lifestyle and being able to pay off their college loans, I guess. And then here's a quote from that article. It says, rising expenses and the persistent challenges to restore productivity and revenue in healthcare organizations have led to several health systems reporting significant losses, and others with many operating margins under 1%. I don't know how they're staying in business, to be honest. I guess that's why you do see even hospitals sometimes just go out of business, don't they?
Oh yeah, there have been major mergers. You might have seen it in your community, hospitals joining forces to deal with these economic instability. But here's the deal. we're going to get to a new normal. Like it looks like poo-poo, we're getting out of the COVID pandemic. So doctors are getting back to work. We are resuming our elective cases. So things will achieve new equilibrium. But the doctors who are successful aren't going to go back to their pre-COVID habits. They're getting smarter. They're looking at their practice differently. And those are the people who thrive. So in the previous slide, you saw that there are doctors who are doing well. And there will always be doctors who do well. And personally, I think that, there are a couple of key things that doctors need to do, but I think outsourcing medical billing is one of them.
Yeah, you're right. It's just one of many things that they can do. It just happens that with the other services that we can offer to doctors and our licensees can, it opens up every aspect of their practice because they're leaking money in certain places. We can plug the holes in the leaks, and we can keep them from being audited and fined by Medicare, for example. We can help them with their coding because we have certified coders that can help them code correctly, not overcode or undercode. They can get fined for that too. So there's all kinds of ways to save the doctors in that area. Here's another chart that shows the difference in total operating costs per physician. Again, in this 3-year trend here, as you can see, the costs have gone up by 13.57% just for primary care doctors. That's a big chunk out of any business. If you went up and your cost of goods were increased by 13.5%, some grocery stores would go out of business for sure because they don't have much markup at all.
Yeah, this is true. And it's also true. My neighbor just had her knee replaced, and she saw an orthopedic surgeon who had an ownership stake in a surgery center. So not only did the orthopedic surgeon bill for the surgical services, but also for anesthesia, the facility fee. And those guys are doing great. They're just doing great.
Yeah. One of the charts they had here was 90% of medical practices reported costs have risen faster than their revenues in 2022. This year, they're seeing their costs go up 90% more than their profits. And again, that hurts the bottom line, and it makes it tough for them to pay their staff, buy new equipment, expand their clinics, and so forth. And then 44% of the practices, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to be a little contrarian here and offer a more optimistic interpretation. Okay, so most patients are now willing to go back to the doctor. They're willing to get that hip replacement, that knee replacement. And the limiting step right now for doctors is staff. So even if they want to gear up, medicine is a team sport. You need this staff. And the inability to get staff means that doctors can't be as productive as they would like to be.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a constant battle in their minds as to whether they should be very open with their patients and their staff, or do they just kind of quietly go out of business and disappear? Let's see, here's a great question from Latia Adams. She says, thank you for joining today, Dr. Vicki. Should licensees work to develop relationships with office managers or gatekeepers, in addition to gifting your book and your referral letter to the doctors? Sorry,
the answer is yes. And my internet is unstable. I'm going to go take my webcam off because it says my internet is unstable.
Sure, that'd be fine.
Let's see if I can. Okay, so here's the deal. If the office manager is doing the billing,
your webcam is still on, by the way. There it is. Okay, I'm gonna turn mine off too.
Okay. So if the office manager is doing the billing, then they feel a little threatened by the idea of outsourcing it, right? Because what does that mean for their job security? So I know the instructor for ABS talks about how to build the relationship with an office manager. And I will tell you that any business does better when you have a conversation with the buyer. The doctor is your buyer. And so I recommend to people in my community that you use the book, you do things to build the relationship with the doctor. A lot of people are intimidated about talking to doctors. They feel like, oh, am I smart enough? Am I good enough? But remember that, when it comes to breast cancer, like, I know more than you do about breast cancer. But when it comes to building a business and putting money to work, making money, you probably know more than I did when I was practicing. So you are the solution to their pain. And there is really no need to feel insecure about reaching out to the doctor directly. I mean, you can give away a book with our names together on it. It really helps your reputation.
Yes, tremendously. We found that, sometime I interviewed here recently a licensee who was out during the pandemic. He decided rather than going out in person and seeing the doctors or talking to people in networking groups and things like that, he would just use some of our direct mail techniques that we teach people, how to get the book directly into the hands of the doctor, past the gatekeeper, the office manager. And by doing that, he sent out 3 in the mail with your letter in 1 week, and had 2 of those doctors called him up and said, hey, I read some of your quotes from your book and I think I need help. So, and then, you know what, let me put this one up here. I don't think I have it showing yet. Well, maybe it is. Yeah, oh yeah. This quote here from that same report says 44% of medical practices report medical assistants are the most difficult role to recruit right now. That includes, of course, nurses, 27%, other clinical staff is 11%, and the administrative billing staff, even 18% of them. It's just a tough market out there right now because, again, some people got out of the medical field completely during the pandemic and just found careers in other places. So those gatekeepers and those managers that are out there, they don't necessarily want to interact with you directly. They would rather you bypass them and go directly to the doctor. And that's what we teach people to do. So.
Right. Now, Patrick J. asked a really interesting question. He asked, have you ever had doctors reach out to you to validate the credibility of an ABS licensee when they give them their book with your name on it? The answer is yes. And I helped one ABS licensee close a deal through this conversation. Now, I don't know you, right? But what I talked about with this doctor was the value of the outsourcing billing. And then I talked about the ABS reputation, right?
Right. Yeah, you build on our credibility of being in business for 28 years, having hundreds of licensees or medical billing revenue managers all over the country. We do thousands of claims every day, Dr. Vicki, for hundreds of doctors from coast to coast. And we literally collect millions of dollars a year for doctors that they'd probably never see otherwise. So that helps those doctors tremendously to stay in private practice and to be able to afford the staff they need to help them. So thank you. That's a great question, Jay, and thanks for answering that, Dr. Vicki. One of the ways we do that, by the way, with the books is we teach our licensees not to just mail the book, but to tabulate, as you can see, with little stickers in the book, because on the inside, we teach them to actually highlight certain passages in the book. So when a doctor gets this book, it's not like any book they've ever got. Now, this takes maybe a couple of minutes to do this for each one of the books, but you're not going to be mailing them out in mass. You just mail them to the people that you really think might be interested in what you have, or maybe you've already talked to them at one time. And they turn to those tabs and read those quotes and go, you know what? That may be true of me in my practice. I didn't even know that was true. And so they'll give you a call and just, have you come out and do what we call a free practice analysis, which guides them through questions that we've come up with that, we need to be able to produce a report back to them as to whether or not you can help them. You can't help every doctor out there probably, but I'd say 9 out of 10 we can help. And that means that you'll always get a positive response when you go back to them. So Dr. Vicki, let me ask you, what's the best way for people to position themselves for success a recession or inflationary area like we're going into here?
Well, again, all of those people who are on the call learning more about ABS might be looking at other business opportunities. And I am a serial entrepreneur. I've invested in good investments and not so good investments. So when I look at something to do, like I'm thinking about launching this community for the parents of kids with OCD. And so what do I want? I want to know that there is a need. I want to know that there is a future. And I want to know that there is a path to success. And here's the other thing that I figured out. I want to know that I'm working with the right people. Dan Sullivan, with one of his colleagues, wrote a great book a couple of years ago called Who, Not How. And they said, if you want to achieve a goal, I want to get 10 new doctor clients this year. The logical question is to ask, okay, how do I do it? They say the more strategic question is, who can help me do it? And I don't know how lucky you guys are to have found ABS. These are ethical people of integrity who do what they say they're going to do, who's genuinely interested in the success of their licensees. So they can be your who. And when ABS is one of your who's, that I come along with the package. So this is a pretty strong package. Like if I were looking at a business opportunity, I would just be jumping all over this. That's one person's opinion though.
I will make you a very special deal on your license fee, Dr. Vicki. Just let me know when you're ready to start. You've got a third career. You got a third career ahead of you here. Thank you. I appreciate those kind words. We do help our licensees. We have unlimited lifetime support. And the way we do that, of course, is we make a few pennies on all the transactions that go through our system. So we don't have to require people to pay ongoing support fees or user fees or software updates or codes, any of that, nothing. We've never paid. You can ask some of the people that we've interviewed out there. We've never had them pay us another penny once they pay our license fee. Well, Dr. Vicki, I don't see any other questions coming in right now, so I'm going to give people another 60 seconds to type a question in if they want to ask you something direct. Meanwhile, any words of wisdom that you have for people that are just trying to start any kind of business out there in today's world?
Yeah, I think starting with a why is really important. Like for me, my why is to show my son what's possible. When I first made the transition from being a surgeon to being an entrepreneur, like I struggled and struggled. I actually invested more in my sales and marketing training than I did in medical school. And my son one day, he was in first grade and he said to me, "Why don't you just get a job? You're just working so hard." And I didn't want to get a job. I knew that I had value and I knew that I would be able to crack the code. And for me, the thing that made the difference was understanding this difference between the world of business and the world of medicine. Oh, I need an adapter to be able to plug into business people. You need an adapter to be able to plug in to your doctor clients. But when I'm working hard, I think about my son, and I think I have shown him that persistence and perseverance really pays off. And that's something that's important for me. And there's a reason that you're looking into it. Maybe you want a better life for your family, but having that thing that will keep you going, when somebody says no, you are hoping to say yes, when things are going slower than you want. I think that's really helpful.
Well, thank you. That's very insightful thoughts about that. And you've been a perfect example to me, Dr. Vicki, over the years that I've known you in the way that you do support your son. So I really appreciate that. As you know, this is a family business. My son's now the CEO of the business. My wife and I founded it 28 years ago, but my wife is a kept woman at this point, so she doesn't have any involvement in the business. Is that proper to say that in today's world? No,
I
that's not right.
no, Patrick,
That-
no.
That's what a sexist would say. I started to add that on there. You know, I see a smiley face going up here from our people that are listening. Well, Dr. Vicki, thank you so much for sharing that. I see one last question here that I'm going to address from Jay. It says, Dr. Vicki, what are the top few things you would look in a medical biller before you hire that medical biller?
Okay, Jay, I'll tell you exactly what I did. I talked to the doctors in the doctor's dining room and the surgeon's lounge. Hey, did you outsource your billing? Yes or no? Okay, who did you hire? Are you happy with this person? And when the same name kept on coming up, well, I pretty much decided. And that is the thing. Doctors will tell other doctors. So you want to, your end game is to become the go-to guy or go-to gal among doctors who network together. Now, that leaves the question, well, how do you get your first doctor? Well, if you look at your existing network of relationships, I bet that there are doctors. Are there doctors in your neighborhood? Do you have a sport that you play? Are there doctors on the team? Are there doctors at your church or synagogue or mosque? And there are ways of getting that first doctor. But all doctors want to know is this somebody I can trust? You know, I remember I hadn't seen a colleague of mine for some time, and I asked, hey, what's up with Diane? I haven't seen her for a while. And the other person said, oh, you haven't heard. Diane's office manager of 30 years embezzled, and all of her retirement is gone. Diane went into a clinical depression and she is gone. Like, so doctors are worried about financial predators. They're worried about trusting the wrong person. And when you become the go-to guy or go-to gal, then the group is saying, he's one of us, she's trustworthy. But if you go to somebody who already knows, likes, and trusts you, and a doctor knows, likes, and trusts them, then you can put a link in the chain of trust. And that's generally what works the fastest.
Yeah, that's kind of a common saying out there, isn't it? That people like to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So we found that to be true. Dr. Vicki, over the years, I've interviewed over 150 of our business owners that have built this business from scratch, most of them with no medical background whatsoever, and they built it into a very successful business. And many of them have told me that all we did was what you taught us to do to get that first doctor. And then we just kind of did a good job for that doctor. And all of a sudden, that doctor would refer another doctor to us, and we'd sign that doctor up. And, you know, it just goes on and on. If you're doing a good job, there's always referrals from one doctor to another. Many of them out of the state, you know, not even locally. So, well, Jay says, thank you for that, Dr. Vicki. Thanks again for being on here. I know you've got a busy day and you've got another meeting coming up here. So I'm gonna let you go, Dr. Vicki. Thank you for being on here, and we hope to see you again.
Well, thanks so much, Patrick, and best of luck, everyone on the call. I know you'll make a good choice, but you can't go wrong with ABS.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that endorsement. All right, talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Folks, if you want to, I'm going to tell you how to get involved in this business. It's real simple. There's just 6 steps that you need to take. First, let me talk about our unconditional 30-day money-back guarantee. And I know this sounds kind of strange, but we're the only company out of thousands of franchises and business licensing opportunities that are out there in America that has a money-back guarantee. And here's why I did that. A few years back, I told my people, look, if we really have what we say we have, why don't we just offer a money-back guarantee? And they thought I was nuts, to tell you the truth. But I said, no, I mean it. I don't believe anybody will ask for their money back. Well, I was wrong. There have been a handful of people over the years that have asked for their money back, but folks, it's like less than 0.5%. So we don't worry about that, because we really do have something special. And you'll know that in the first 30 days, you'll have gone through our training, for example. You can get through that easily in even 3 weeks. And you'll know whether this is the right business for you or not. And if for any reason, I'm saying any reason, you don't like this business, you just simply ask one of my staff members to arrange for you to get a refund, and we'll make sure that that happens. We don't believe that's going to happen, but it's possible. Now, look at our phone number and email. You see that? If you're not sure who your ABS rep is, it's the person who sent you the email inviting you to this webinar. You've probably gotten more emails from us than you wished you had gotten, but go back to that person and ask for the following things. Number one, what do we call our research guide? Now, this is a PDF document that we'll send to you through email. And it's got about 65 pages of information that you won't find on our website. This is proprietary information that we only put in the hands of people who are sincerely interested in our opportunity and want to get involved in it. Number two, browse our YouTube channel. There it is right there on the screen. You see it at youtube.com/YABS. Yeah, just put a /YABS, and you'll be able to watch all the webinars that we've done for the past 10 years on that channel. There's hundreds of them on every topic, from how do you help me get clients to how easy is your system to use. It just goes on. And we've even interviewed, of course, a lot of our licensees on those webinars. You'll see those there too. That's the channel. When you get there, that's what it looks like on YouTube. Number three, ask for our owner reference list. We have a list of people like these. These are real ABS licensees or owners that you can talk to. Just call them up on the phone, tell them you're looking into the business and you'd like to ask them a few questions. They have volunteered to share some of their time with you to answer those questions. We don't tell them what to say or what to answer. They're on their own, but folks, they're all being so successful that's why they are, I guess, grateful to us to be able to help other people like yourself get involved in it. And they're not worried about competition because there's so many doctors out there in any given area that you would never, ever run across one another probably. Then if you haven't seen a demo of our system, be sure and ask for that. That means that we'll actually get online with you, one of our demo people that will go through the system and show it to you live. And you can ask questions and ask them all about the system itself and see how user-friendly it is and so forth. And once you've established your business, we'll get online with any doctors that you arrange to watch the demo as well. We sign up about half of all those doctors that watch our demos. That's an incredible sign-up rate if you think about it. And that's because they are wowed by how technologically advanced our system is over anything that's out there. Then ask your ABS rep to send you the purchase agreement and the funding instructions as to how to fund the thing through credit cards or wire or any way that you can come up with the money. We'll even show you some ways to get the money that you may not be aware of. And we'll send that to you. It's a very uncomplicated 4-page document. And last but not least, as soon as you get your agreement signed and your funds sent in, we'll let you get with your instructor. Now, remember, I told you earlier that your instructor is going to be scheduling with you around your schedule. That can be after hours, on the weekends, whatever fits your schedule, to get those 10 modules, 90-minute sessions in. Now, some of them last less than 90 minutes, but that's because it depends on how many questions you ask. But the point is, we will schedule these around your schedule and get you started usually within about 2 or 3 days from the time your funding arrives. Yeah, so it can be fast. All right, I'm going to leave this screen up. You can take a screenshot of it right now if you want to. And folks, if you want a copy of some of these slides that I used today, just ask your ABS rep for that, and they'll be glad to send those to you by email as well. Okay, I see some people typing in, thank you, great webinar, appreciate you being here and so forth. Thank you, folks. We appreciate you being here too. Now, we do these webinars every Wednesday for the last 10 years at 4 o'clock Central Time on Wednesdays. And so we have another one scheduled for next week. We always try to come up with some interesting new topics. And again, you can ask all the questions you want on these so that you don't ever have to talk to a human being ever again, if that's what you want. A lot of our communication with our licensees is through texting nowadays, and of course, emails as well. So just let us know what we can do to answer your questions. We want to just help you make the right decision. Folks, this business is not for everybody. I tell people that sincerely. It happened to be great for me and my wife. We started doing medical billing back in the early 90s. And it grew so much that some of our friends and relatives ask us, how in the world are you guys buying, new cars and a new home? And, how are you doing this when we know that you never leave the house? And when you do, you're in your pajamas. And so we started explaining that to people, but it got kind of time consuming. So I thought to myself, maybe there is a market for teaching people how to duplicate our success. So we came up and developed, after 3 or 4 years, a whole system, including all the marketing materials, all the support that you would need, and of course, the cloud-based system. All of that was done in conjunction with our technology partners. And we've been doing that now for, 28 years. So we think we know what we're doing by now, because we've got many, many success stories that you can read about and hear from and talk to them if you get that reference list from us. So give it a shot. It's one of those things that we don't know if it's best for you or not, but that's why we give a money back guarantee. You'll know after, going through our training. You'll know everything there is to know about the business. So you can decide at that point whether you want to continue on or keep going on. Well, thanks again for being here today. Again, my name is Patrick Phillips. I'm the founder of American Business Systems, and I thank you all for your time today. Hope to see you next week, or maybe on one of our online training sessions coming up soon. Bye for now.